bright on cloud is recording. And I'd just like to say, welcome to the World Community Arts Day 2021. Today is the 17th of February. The World Community Arts Day has been going for many, many years. And I'm delighted that we have in our performers and in our audience today, we have Leslie Traynor, we have Jenny Glover, we have Carla Woodburn, we have Ian Maxton, we have Blair Ritchie and Beg Horn. And so without further ado, I'd like to introduce myself and then just read a poem, couple of poems, and then we'll carry on from there. My name's Roseanne Fraser Ritchie. I've been living in Craigmillar since 2011, Blair, I think that is.
2011, yeah.
Yeah,
you can hear me. I'm vocal.
And so we're not, I think somebody else is actually, people, just to let you the audience know, people are actually arriving, so I'll just keep an eye on the participants that are coming in. Oh, Andrew Crummy, just in time, has arrived. Hi. Andrew.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi, Andrew. Welcome.
Sorry, I'm a bit late.
Yeah, no, so we're just actually introducing each other. We had a really amazing conversation before you arrived, and we're and what I'm doing right now, Andrew, is I'm telling the story about when I came to Craigmillar. I'm kind of a newbie, you know, from 2011. So what we're doing is we're introducing, talking a bit about each other, and then just reading or talking about something, you know, to celebrate World Community Arts Day. Yeah, so we came here, Blair and I, with our three girls actually in 2011, and our house at Harewood Road was one of the new ones, the new regeneration houses, and we absolutely loved it, and we just watched it being built, you know. And I think it was snowing, wasn't it, Blair, when we saw our house?
That's right, there was thick snow. Yep.
So you know, so it was snowing and everything, but we just could not wait to move in. And you know, we were delighted. The neighbours around us are international. You know, we have our Polish neighbours next door. We have African neighbours upstairs. We have Arabic neighbours along the road, you know, as well as, you know, national, international, and as well as the fantastic Craigmillar community. When I was so fortunate, you know, I went to the Adult Learning Centre actually, Niddrie Mains Road, and I thought, I wonder, because at that time I think it was the old Craigmillar Library still going on, so I thought, I wonder where there's a poetry group around here I can find. And I went to the Adult Learning Centre, and the first name I heard was Meet Johnny Stanton. You know, do you know Andrew Crummy? You know, and it was like, oh, all these names. And I heard, obviously I'd heard of the tapestry, Andrew, but I didn't really know the depth of it all, you know, until I actually lived here. Went to the old Craigmillar Library, met like extraordinary people, you know, Diane Heron, and I met Heather Turner. There are Mackers actually. Heather's the present Macker of Craigmillar still. Diane Heron was the first Macker that actually Johnni appointed, you know. And and Billy McCurdy. I met so many amazing people. So that was the start of my journey, and I'm still journeying on. And so I'm going to start off, our theme actually today is about healing. And as I said, I'm dedicating, because I'm sure there'll be lots of tributes later on for Johnni, but I'm dedicating, if you don't mind, this event to Johnny Stanton, who's going to be very, very much missed, you know. We were talking about lipstick earlier, Carla, and this is my first poem, and it's called Staying Alive. This one, I did a book called Staying Alive, as you all know, about my hospital experience, you know, in 2013. So again, it was like lipstick and makeup makes a difference. Staying alive. Putting on some red lipstick, feeling glam in an instant. Have a good shave, my man. Apply your new posh cologne. Hospital beds, they are in the past. Yet some of us, fortunate people, woke up there still alive. But we have been through the mill, and we need to take care of ourselves. Thank you. I'd like to go on to Ian, please. Ian, do you have a poem or prose you could share with us? And if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do, please.
You're on mute.
Oh, you'll have to unmute.
Right. Is that me? I think it is.
I did that earlier on.
Fantastic. I shouldn't play about with these things. It's never a good idea. I'm Ian, or am I? That's the story from earlier, if you missed that, sorry. But I'm definitely me, whoever I am. So that's the only bit that really matters. I've been scribbling away for God knows how many years. And I'm also involved in organising spoken word events and mini festivals and whatnot as well. We've got our own one weekend in Falkirk coming up early March, which will all be online, obviously, the way things are. So it's nice to be, albeit online, but it's nice to be together again and reconnecting with the World Community Arts Day. That's a lovely thing, so it is. So, you spoke about sort of healing and wellness and all that kind of stuff, and I thought, oh my goodness, what have I got to say about any of that? I don't know. I'm not sure how well any of us really are at the moment in the scheme of things. So sort of distanced and separated and whatnot, it's all quite an issue, isn't it? So this is what I've sort of come up with. I think I'm calling this dust. I don't know. We'll see how I feel. Okay. Lessened, depleted, but not yet defeated. Wrestling with changes, those daily rearranges. Trying, failing, flapping, flailing. Attempting to make order from non-fitting pieces. The signs say 2 meters, but some cannot measure the distance or distress caused by their failure to grasp the importance of coming together, even though apart. We'll weather this better if we try to consider the welfare of others. There's no need of pointed fingers or snide sideways comments. Those speak more of self. So maybe look in a mirror and hope it doesn't crack or COVID consume you and lay you on your back. You see, when all this is ended, one thing is true and just. We're none of us so special. We're all made from dust.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you so much. And we'll just thank you very much. That was brilliant, Ian. That was brilliant.
Thank you.
Leslie, do you have something? Could you please introduce yourself, tell a little about yourself, and then a poem or a prose if you can.
Hey, I'm Leslie Traynor, and I'm a writer, and I make films as well. I'm also the founder of Women with Fierce Words. It's a collective of women writers, and really proud of us all. We are going to be opening the Paisley Book Festival tomorrow night. So kind of excited and terrified at the same time. But I am absolutely passionate about supporting voice and love doing community events. And I've been to Craigmillar numerous times and loved every time I've visited. And I love my chats with Johnni. He was one of the funniest people I knew. He had an incredible dry sense of humour. And I loved his poetry as well. I mean, it was always very short, but I loved it. Absolutely loved hearing anything that he had written. I'm going to really, the first one I'm going to read is more about, my mum got her JAG about 3 weeks ago now. And obviously we weren't allowed in, but as everybody came out, it felt like a graduation because family were all waiting outside. So this is called Beyond the Mask. The class of 1936 graduate today. Too soon to throw a mask in the air, attend townswomen meetings, depleted by those who didn't make it to the finishing line. The class of 1936 slowly pace, seek salvation contained in a syringe, bare arms raised in veneration towards 21 days of hope. The class of 1936 emerged to family, barred from the inside, who clap, snap, those smiling behind their mask, who allow themselves to dream of walking beyond fear. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much, Leslie. Thank you.
That's okay.
Brilliant. Carla, there you are, Carla.
Okay. So
can you tell a little bit about yourself, Carla, and if you could please read a prose or poem that you like.
Yeah. So I'm Carla Woodburn. I run a radio show called Express Yourself on the radio. It showcases poets each week. Poetry from everyone for everyone. That's the part of the show that shares people's poetry. I also am a trustee for the Tell It Slant Poetry Bookshop. What else do I do? I'm a member of Women with Fierce Words, the collective that Leslie founds. And I'm sure I've got other things up my sleeve that I can't think of right now, but I'm also a poet. And keeping with the theme of healing, I was in hospital a year ago, just over a year ago, for a couple of weeks. And one of the things that I realised about being in hospital was everybody's equal in hospital. It's like you're all in the same boat. You could be rich, you could be poor, but you're equal in hospital, you know, because you're all sick, basically. So everyone's equal in hospital. Corridors of trolley wheels full of steel contraptions. Medical equipment has never looked so untantalising, all shiny and sterile and threatening. Wet wipes with no thrill labels, plastic caps, plastic taps, clear plastic water dispensers with plastic cups on sterile plastic tables. Easy wiped, mopped, disinfected, the floors reflected, the blue gowns and trolley wheels, and the pissed off faces from the people's fields. The days turn to night, the night turns to rays, all sectioned up with medication breaks and 3 meals a day. And institutionalized, and you're surrounded by sick, tired people with sad eyes. Everyone's equal in hospital. Thank you. That's it.
Brilliant, absolutely phenomenal.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, honestly. And
I lost that place a few times.
I'm just so emotional. So emotional anyway. I'm gonna go to Johnni Glover. Now we understand that you have just arrived in Craigmillar.
I've been in Craigmillar a few years. Yeah, Rose, I was just thinking we might pass each other on Niddrie Mains Road or something like that.
Well, probably. I often sneak into the fish and chip shop because that's still open, thankfully.
Oh no, funny you should mention fish and chip shop because that's what my poem's about.
That's unbelievable. I'm so looking forward to hearing that.
Anyway, this isn't anything about healing, and it isn't mine. It's by a guy called Stanley Cook. But it's a poem I used to read to my 2 children when they were very young. And if only this had been a week ago, it would have been more appropriate. Anyway, this is called Chips. So it's about chips. Out of a paper bag comes a hot breath of chips. and I shall blow on them to stop them burning my lips. Before I leave the counter, the woman shakes raindrops of vinegar on them and salty snowflakes. Outside, the frosty pavements are slippery as a slide, but the chips and I are warm inside. And that's it. That's just how I felt when I used to have chips. Remember chips in newspaper? Yes. So, in fact, both my kids know that poem off by heart. I used to read it to them so often.
That is just brilliant. I mean, the familiarity just brings you so much warmth. You know that feeling where it's just something. I'm so happy that we still can go into a fish and chip shop and buy that. And we had chips quite a lot. Well, we certainly did as children. Because we didn't have that much money, so I think chips were easy to put in the frying pan and stuff with fish fingers or something. But I love that. I love that so much, because I love poems like that are familiar to me. So thank you, Jenny. That was just amazing. Thanks so much. I'd like to Big Horn.
Isn't there?
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi there. Welcome.
Hi, Rose. Hi, Rose. What was that?
Just welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. It's nice to see you. I think I've seen some of you at Women with Fierce Words and maybe at Linda Jackson's open mic nights. I might have seen some of you there.
Oh, so nice to meet you. I mean, thank goodness we're still, meeting each other. We've been to live.
I know.
We took that for granted, didn't we?
Big,
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Did we not meet at Express Yourself as well, Big? Did you express yourself?
I don't know if I ever made it. I always meant to go, and I don't think I ever made it.
Have we not met? Did we meet?
We've met. I think we met at Women with Fierce Words.
Right. I remember. Yeah, I remember meeting you. I remember meeting.
Yeah. So, it's good to see you again.
And you.
Well, you'll see us again. You'll see us again tomorrow, of course, at the Paisley Book Festival.
Yes. I have a ticket. I've got my ticket booked.
Can't help getting excited.
One of my happiest memories of, just before COVID was that we had the launch of Linda Jackson's book up at, now what's the name of the place? Cafe St. Louis in Dumbarton Road, and it was heaving, and it was a wild January night, and it was horrible outside, but the warmth of the people inside and everything that was going on and the celebration of music and words, it's such a vivid memory, and I love it, and I'm holding on to that.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, we need to hold on to that, and we just hope that will happen again.
Oh, I'm sure.
Fingers crossed. Now, we'd like to hear from you, please. Now,
sure.
Is your name Bart? What's your?
It's actually pronounced Beag. It's short for Beagle. Would you believe?
Beautiful.
So it's pronounced Beag, but lots of people say Big because they think it's the Gaelic.
I was thinking because I was thinking you were Gaelic actually. So you speak Gaelic?
No.
It sounds good.
No.
Well,
no. It's just my nickname, and it's short for Beagle. So it's just Beag.
How cool! Absolutely cool. Well, we'd love to hear a poem or a prose from you, and if you could tell us a wee bit about yourself. Are you a writer? You're a poet, or?
Yeah, poetry. Yeah, I've just actually during lockdown, I graduated from Stirling Uni with MLit, which I'm really pleased about. Let me think. What else? I've been an actor for quite a long time, and I'm kind of leaving that to one side a wee bit, although the skills obviously come into spoken word very much so. And I work at the Conservatoire as a front of house usher and a programme assistant, but I'm just on furlough at the moment, so all that's not going ahead. Yeah, and I live in Troon.
Oh, honestly, I'm so emotional. I mean, every time World Community Arts Day, I'm hoping we'll speak with Andrew soon. This is another special day, Andrew, from Troon.
Yeah.
So Listen, we want to hear from you. We want to hear a poem.
Okay.
Please be.
Do you want to hear a poem? And funnily enough, I've selected one already before anybody spoke, and it's about a chip shop.
I don't believe this.
It's the new theme of tonight.
I'm telling you. Here we go.
I've never performed this one out loud, so we'll see how it goes. This is one I wrote last year when some of the restrictions were lifted all of a sudden and things changed a wee bit. So excuse me. This is called Normal Service is Resumed. First thing, 12th of June. McCallum's fishing boat is out again, trawling Ayr Bay for the catch of the day, to be chalked on the board in the wee hurry takeaway, which last Thursday reopened its door against the prevailing conditions of COVID-19 and a strong sou'wester. And if anyone knows about the patience of queuing, it is the customers of the wee hurry, who come from all over West Scotland to queue for their suppers, fried fresh to order. Haddock and cod, whiting and hake, salmon, sea bass, monkfish and sole, frito misto and chips. For 20, 30, 40 minutes, they stand in a social distanced line from the door on pairs of yellow feet painted on the concrete, past the oyster bar, along the harbour that's packing in braces of furloughed fishing boats, patrolled by grey seals with their dog-like faces, who eye the daily queue, then disappear, arcing a sleek, dark back into dependable waters, and pop up next to the ice factory, the RNLI Trent Glass lifeboat, or in a corner of nestling trawlers, to the delight of folk who've been waiting so long for their favourite fish suppers.
That was so amazing, like so visual. Honestly, it was just, honestly, I can't believe that we're on to fish and chips tonight.
Chip chops. That's what it's all about.
I mean, we should have had Angie Strachan here. I mean, we could maybe still even message her, because Angie's got an amazing poem about seagulls.
I'll message her now.
Oh, that'd be great.
She has to come on, because you know, that would just put the icing on the cake. I'm telling you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Extraordinary. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
And yeah, my husband here, Blair Ritchie, do you have any poems about fish and chips at all?
I don't have any poems about fish and chips. I've got a memory from 2 years ago. Remember the Beast from the East?
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye. We were sent home at 1:30, and it took me 3 hours to get home because the traffic was gridlocked. It was freezing cold. It was chilled to the bone. And I got home, and luckily Rose's daughter Roisin had bought a big fish takeaway with chicken wings, also goodies, but she didn't want it. So I sat and stuffed my face for an hour in these chips and chicken wings, comfort food. Thoroughly enjoyed it. That's my memory of. It was the Beast from the East. It seems it's because it's a similar thing as we had the last week, so I just brought back that memory. So anyway, I was been married to Rose for 9 years now. With our anniversary on Sunday, and we've stayed in Craigmillar since 2011. I graduated from Stirling Uni a long time ago. I'll not tell you how long ago in the history. I've worked for the council for 30 years. I work in community services. We've been working from home these last 10 months, which isn't bad because we do all our committees online, so you can sort of roll out of bed at 8 in the morning rather than 6:30 in the morning. Of course, you miss seeing all your family and friends. But, I did this one briefly. I taught history briefly for the adult learning group. We went in 2010. Rose came along to that. I've got a poem for you. It's an old Scots poem. It's not related to fish and chips, I'm afraid. It's about the James V For the historians amongst you, he was the father of Mary Queen of Scots. He was quite a melancholy character, but he started off well and went on doing good deeds, and he was called the Good Man of Ballingeach. His rule strengthened to be more tyrannical, especially his nobles. He was called Sarah Dread King, unbeloved his subjects. He was so unpopular, his nobles wouldn't fight for him, so he was defeated at a battle and he died broken-hearted at the age of 32. Anyway, this is him. He's gone up the Canongate with all his courtiers, and nobody will cheer him. So the king come up the Canongate, and Dule was in his e'e. He kenned the fate that sooner or later Stuart King mind dree. Nae benison could bring him grace, a curse should laid upon his race. The king come up the Canongate with gentles in his train. Amidst the crowd that murmured loud the raid in grim disdain. The drums may beat, the bell may ring, but wha would cheer a luckless king? A little lad among the throng threw up his hat in glee. Amidst the crowd that murmured loud, God save the king, cried he. God save the king, he cried again, though none were there to say amen. The king drew rein and all his train halted to kin his will. The monarch smiled upon the child and said, Why do you love me still? Elaine, ye shout, God save the king. Amongst all this girly gathering. Sire, said the lad, the need to spear, why do I love you still? The shout, God save the king, because 'twas my deed father's will. He told me loyal I to be to Scotland, your majesty. Well, why is your father asked the king? Then spak the lad in grief. He was a bother Armstrong. You hung him for a thief. Oh, sire, what monarch could be blessed that hangs the folk that love him best? The king come up the Canongate, and Dule was in his e'e. He kenned the fate that sooner or later Stuart King mind dree. Nae benison could bring him grace, a curse should laid upon his race. Thank you.
Read so well. You read that really well. It rolled off your tongue very well.
Thank you very much. It's an old Scots poem written
nice.
Scots here.
It was superb. I love that.
It's quite incredible. I could never read that like Blair. I mean, honestly, well done. Honestly, I'm in awe of how you read the Scots.
Thank you very much.
You need to have a word with Carla.
You can come on my radio show, Blair. I'm doing Scots poetry on my radio show because we're sponsored by the Scots Language Centre.
Brilliant.
If you want to come on and share a Scots poem, you'd be welcome.
Aye, thanks very much. Yes.
Aye. Oh, thank you, Carla. That's amazing. There you go.
We'll sort it out at some point.
See, this is what happens in World Community Arts Day, connections. And this is actually ideal because I'd like to please introduce you to Andrew Crummy. Andrew, I'd love you, as always, please, if you could, for those that don't know, to give the history of Craigmillar, and from your mum, Helen Crummy, up until now. Thank you so much, Andrew, for coming today. Thank you.
Thank you, Rose. I won't tell the whole story because it would just take far too long after hearing all these lovely readings from poems. There was a radio documentary on Sunday morning, which you can get on BBC Scotland, which has got Heather Henderson singing some of the songs from the Craigmillar Festival Society, and I'm interviewed about my mother and my recollections as a child. So that's on Sounds, I think, BBC Sounds, which sounds very grand, but it's actually the first programme about Craigmillar Festival Society, I think, in the BBC since the mid-70s. I can't think of another one, because it gets hidden quite quickly, the story of what happened in Craigmillar. But if you go down the high street, talking about the high street, the main street in Craigmillar, not far from the chip shop we're talking about, but where the library is, there's a statue outside there, and there's a statue of a woman helping a boy play the violin, and that's really the story of, and the essence of what happened in Craigmillar, because it's this. I'll just give you the story again. The story is that I was a baby at this point. I'd just been born, and my big brother wanted to learn to play the violin. Philip at Peffermill primary school, which is no longer there, but looks onto Craigmillar Castle. And my mother asked the headmaster, could my son Philip learn to play the violin? To which the headmaster replied, no, we don't teach these kids, i.e. poor kids, music. We just do the 3 hours. It takes us all the time to do that. To which my mother, well, Philip was upset, but my mother went back to the mothers group that she was a member of. And over a period of time, they came back to Mr. Lyle and they said, who turned out to be a good guy, I have to say. And they, instead of shouting at him and, you know, being aggressive towards him, which is quite common in Craigmillar and other places like that, you know, and I live in worked in Preston Pans, it's the same there, and this is Kenzie where I live now. But instead of that, they went back to the headmaster and they said, we'll show you how talented our kids are, and we'll put on a festival. And Mr. Lyle liked that idea, and he said, I won't do it for you, but I'll if you need any help, I can help you. So my mum became the organising fest of the CFS, and that very, very quickly grew to about 1967, which was the first big festival where they took over Craigmillar Castle. And there's photographs on that. I put it on Niddrie recently, that actual programme from 67. And by about 69, you get to it's like 18,000 people in Craigmillar part of this festival, because the premise was that everybody's creative. Anybody comes along, they can join in. So the festival became a huge, huge thing. And I won't give you the whole story, but it goes on. And I grew up in this atmosphere. And that's why there's a statue to my mother in Craigmillar, because I was never known, when I lived in Craigmillar, I didn't have a name. I was just Helen's son, because everybody knew my mum. It was, the reason why I like your Fierce Women event is because it was the women of Craigmillar that ran the festival. There was Paul Nolan and Davy Brown and that, and Jack Kane, but it was essentially these 7 women who my mother was the sort of organising secretary of, you know. And Muriel's still alive, and she's interviewed in that programme, and she just lives past the chip shop, by the way. And she actually was there. I wasn't there. I was really a child of it. So, and out of that has come, you know, and when my mum died, she died in 2011, and just about 2007, I think, something like that, we decided, this guy, Reg Bolton, had died, which is now a street called Bolton Way in Craigmillar, which is named after him. And Reg was this fantastic circusman who went round the world. And when he died, his ashes were split into 4, and they're put in 4 different continents because so many people wanted to remember him. He was a great friend of my mother's, and we wanted to do something to remember him. And that's why the World Community Arts Day started, just to try to remember somebody like Reg Bolton. And there's been lots of fantastic people through Craigmillar. And the World Community Arts Day, it goes up and down the World Community Arts Day. It seems to be busier this year again. There's quite a few people adding things today, because you can never tell. At the beginning, it was probably much bigger, but it's like, I think it's possibly coming back more now, partly because I've designed the Great Tapestry of Scotland, and it gives it a higher profile now. But also interesting that I'm going to have to go because there's another meeting. Jenny was there at the meeting this afternoon, but we're thinking of starting there's a talk of doing the festival again in August, and I think everybody was quite positive, Jenny, about it, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yes, and there was a lot of people, and there's going to be a lot of people there tonight on the Zoom meeting, and I think it'd be great if you could bring this event to the Craigmillar Festival. You know, that'd be really good, because poetry, and like Johnni Stanton and all the other Helen Turner and all that, there's loads of poets in Craigmillar, and I think it's that this has been a great event over the years, and Rose has been fantastic at promoting World Community Arts Day, you know, and I think it's really interesting. But I think the re-emergence of the festival, because I'm also part of, I'm a trustee of Craigmillar now, which is just the art centre's been reopened again, even during COVID. You can't get into it because of COVID, but it has actually restarted again under Rachel Floughlin. And there's another venue you can go and perform in, you know, just beside Fort Kinnaird. So, you know, get in contact. I think, Rose, you've met Rachel, haven't you?
Yeah, I met Rachel she's lovely, through the Thistle Foundation, because Rachel helped me set up a group in the Thistle Foundation. So she's so lovely. Well, I can see Women with Fierce Words. I can see Leslie has mentioned we'd be delighted to take part. You know, and Heather and Diane and everybody that we know. You know, if we could involve poetry, Andrew, that would just be again the icing on the cake. If you would maybe mention that at your meeting,
okay,
please. Is that all right with? It was Leslie. Is that okay? Am I saying the right thing, Leslie? Right.
I think the other thing is that the tapestries that I've been involved in are primarily older women that do it. You know, and so when you get about 1,000 women together being creative, it does create a huge momentum, you know, and it's amazing what that can do. And also, of course, with the Great Tapestry, there is this link to history, and telling like the wonderful poem that Blair just told just now is linking all those things. And a lot of times with the tapestries, there's always been events in front of them, and poetry is really high up, particularly Scots and Gaelic. Or Gaelic, because my wife's Irish, I can never remember which way it is. But it's like telling those stories. The oral tradition is really, really important, and hopefully there'll be events at the new centre for the Great Tapestry in Gala Shields when it opens later this year. So I think poetry is very, very. I'm not a poet myself, but poetry is very, very important, particularly in our own dialect and language.
I agree with you. Sorry, I was just going to jump in because I've just posted that I actually really remember the writing of the woman that day and how honest it was and how true it was, which is what we stand for. You know, you speak your reality your way. And, you know, I was just blown away. And I think that's why we all kind of bonded that day as well. And you were talking about the tapestry. I think there's a real power when people are involved in something like that, and sharing the words, sharing the history. We've just been saying that, you know, how we do need to share histories, you know, from different generations. And I'm going to really be a bit maudlin now, is that, I mean, I've just become really aware that, you know, like almost a generation where, you know, I grew up has been wiped out in the past year. And their memories of that is a different place has been wiped out. And it's really important, I think, to capture that, you know, where we can.
I just wanted to make that is just so spot on. That's, yeah, capturing the past, you know, bringing it into the future. Heather Henderson, you know, she's a fantastic storyteller, as I have to mention. Do you remember the Highland dancers that came last time? You know, so Heather Henderson actually organised the Highland dancers, and you know, she visually as well told the story of Craigmillar that just blew me away. So, you know, if we can think, you know, more storytelling, yeah. Thank you so much, Andrew. Thank you so much. So, do you have to go on to the next meeting at the moment, Andrew, or?
I'm going to take just a little break before I go into this meeting, so I'm not staring at the screen for 2.5 hours.
Yes.
So I was just going to take a 10-minute break, so I might go in about 5 minutes, I think. So if I do, I'm sorry for that, but I just have to.
Oh no, it's a busy day, because this is actually the official, you know, isn't it? The 17th is actually, although luckily enough we've been able to sometimes work around the 17th. This is like the official day, and it's actually busier today. So please send everybody your love, and we're hoping to see you in Craigmillar Festival. The 7th, is it?
Yeah,
and when is it, in August?
I think it's the 13th. So the second weekend, it's going to be a second weekend in August.
Yeah.
It's the first attempt to bring it back, because it has died. But I think there's so many people who want to do something. It's really great, you know, and it is perfectly placed, Craigmillar, to do a festival, even under COVID restrictions, and there's a lot of facilities now in Craigmillar. So it was really interesting that there's and I think as long as it's open and welcoming to everybody, I think that's the point. And if it just keeps the mantra that everyone's creative, everyone's probably got a poem in them that they can say, that type of thing. I think that's the important thing. There's a big audience out there, I believe, for that,
That's what I love about
it. The other thing,
yeah.
So the other thing I was going to mention was that you're talking about Paisley tomorrow, is that I'm actually involved in the Renfrewshire Tapestry. So there's a whole bunch of stitchers and women who, mainly from the Threads Museum in Paisley, and they are, we've got about 11 panels something running. It's slowed down because of COVID, but I before COVID came along, every month I would go through and we'd have a meeting about the tapestry, and we've got a couple of panels that are finished, the history of Paisley and the Thread Museum, and that's really, really interesting. What a fantastic town Paisley is. Architecturally, it's just stunning. It's a real gem of a town that's hit hard times, but what a fantastic story there is there to tell as well. So
Paisley's a great place. I have a really, place in my heart for Paisley. I love it. I love all the architecture, like you say, and the cathedral, the abbey, sorry, it's just stunning.
Yeah, it is, yeah. And the whole thing about the threads and the Paisley pattern.
Yeah.
And the witches is a great story as well.
Yeah.
How, that whole, but there's so many different aspects to, you can't tell the story of Paisley without all the connecting towns, because it's all linked. But it's a fantastic place. So good luck with your event tomorrow night.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Before you shoot, Andrew, I was just going to actually mention as well, I don't know if this is included in a tapestry, is the Covenanter martyrs.
Oh.
What, in Paisley?
Paisley, I'm a direct descendant of the Covenanter martyrs in the 1600s, and there's a monument to them in a graveyard up next to the observatory. So I don't know if that's been included in one of the panels.
I'm not sure. We've got more to do with the what was the ones that got sent to Australia later on with the rebellion.
Yes,
that was like the French Revolution in Scotland.
Yeah, but it was also the first Jacobites as well, that were in Paisley at some point that get sent as well, all over the place. To be honest, of course, it's the birthplace of the Stuart dynasty. Mm-hmm. So it's. I don't know if it was a Jacobite town really, because Glasgow and that area weren't really Jacobites, but there's certainly there'll be connections there. It's really complicated when you get into it. Oh, but it's incredible.
I haven't heard that, but if you could send me that would be great.
Okay,
and as Leslie's saying, also Ian, that we heard the poem from earlier, he shares the same philosophy.
Absolutely.
As Paisley and Craigmillar, Niddrie, in Stirling and Falkirk, because he also runs amazing events. So all these connections from the different towns, it's phenomenal, and I hope we do you proud, our women, tomorrow in Paisley, Andrew, and we'll meet Craigmillar in August, either online or hopefully live.
My mum taught me and a guy called Steve Burgess, who worked with my mum, is what you might always try and link them up. You keep trying to link as many things up as possible, and then you create the momentum to make change, some sort of change in society. And particularly, I think a lot of these themes are about, it is a gender issue, I think, and I think a lot of it is the position of women in Scottish society and telling that history as well, because women haven't been well represented, in Scottish history. It's very hard to find Scottish history, because it's all written by men.
That's true, but I mean, I think Janet Paisley tried to do that. We could have a whole conversation about this, right? And you'll need to go to have a wee break, I reckon, before you go to the next meeting. Lovely to chat to you again.
Bye-bye. Nice seeing you guys.
See you again.
Bye-bye.
See you again, Andrew. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, that was so lovely. And Well, Ian, there you are, Ian, and so B and Ian are still there, and Jenny's still here as well. That was so lovely. And Leslie and Carla and Blair, thanks so much. If possible, I'd love us to finish off with you know, a couple of poems each, if that's okay. Just, I mean, because it's just been so warm and so lovely. Leslie, do you have a poem they can share?
Sure. Do you want the chip shop one that refers to chips? Because I've got a really short one that refers to chips, or I can do something completely different. Well, you know, and if Angie, I don't know if Angie can pop, if Angie, if you're around still, you can pop up, or I'll put your video below this, because we need to hear your one. Listen to all this. Angie, oh, it's very funny. This is very tongue-in-cheek, right? And I heard it was a weather forecast during the summer for a storm on just down at Ardross, and so I was thinking of you, you know, down at Troon as well. So you'll maybe get this. It's called Essential Travel Advice. High tides are expected at Ardrossan today. A surge. Wellies may be required. Ferries unable to return. Goatfell climbers, Saturday day trippers, and Selkies visiting family will find landing on the beach difficult. Leaving an extra set of clothes with the harbour master is advisable. Electrocution from wave-damaged wires is a clear and present danger to all trapeze artists, balloonists, trains. Prestwick Seagulls, please check your journey is absolutely necessary. Chip shops will remain closed.
Love it.
Absolutely love it. Love it.
Yeah, I heard that one on Tidelines, on your Tidelines event. It's really good. And you were reading it in the shed, and the shed door was flapping open in the wind. It was absolutely brilliant.
Jenny, do you have you know, a poem or a prose that you can share with us?
Well, I've actually got a prayer. Seeing as I'm going back into the memory of my children, this is something which I used to say to my children. It's called The Prayer of the Little Ducks. It's by some Spanish person who I can't possibly pronounce, but I'll try. Carmen Bonas de Gastold, translated by Ruma Godin, who wrote Black Narcissus, which I'm ashamed to say I read avidly. Anyway, this is it. Dear God, sorry if you're not religious. Dear God, remember it's a prayer of the little ducks. Give us a flood of water. Let it rain tomorrow and always. Give us plenty of little slugs and other luscious things to eat. Protect all folk who quack and everyone who knows how to swim. Amen.
Amen.
I just like it because it's a prayer, but it's not too religious.
I quite like prayers, poems. They're lovely. Sorry to interrupt.
No, I do as well, because you know, we're talking about healing, because it's, I mean, if you're not religious, you can still, you know, light a candle. You know, that's what I feel. And it makes you feel calmer, you know.
Sometimes I find that poems can be very prayer-like. I don't know if like mantras and prayer-like, and you know, I find that a lot, Jenny. So that was a great one.
Well, I liked the way the slugs got eaten. Better than treading on them.
Aye, have you ever stood in a slug with bare feet? It's horrible.
No.
I've done that before.
Oh, yuck.
Squidgies in your toes, and that's horrible.
Thanks so much, Jenny. That was just really lovely, really lovely. Carla, do you have a prose or poem you can share with us?
I've got one here. I've got one here, and it's about passion. So I think you two might have, you and Leslie, have heard this one. It's called Passion. Sorry, I'm just joking. Passion. You know, the word comes from the Greek verb meaning to suffer. A strong feeling about a person or thing. One has passion for their lover. a compelling emotion, an emotion full of enthusiasm, the best orgasm, an intense inclination, an infinity of positive vibrations sometimes makes it impossible to listen to reason. Passion is a feeling. Hamlet once said, "Give me the man that is not passion's slave, and I shall wear him in my heart's core." Intellectual passion increases our motivation, and if we're lucky, our occupation. It affects how we function, a physical, intellectual, and mental conjunction. The more passion there is, the better the poetry. Thank you.
Love the passion, love it.
Carla, I think you shared that one in the event in Falkirk, however many years ago that was. I remember that one.
Yeah, yeah.
And if I remember rightly, you were looking for it because you had your folder with all the poems in it, and you couldn't find it or something, or you get in a wee bit of a fluster.
Oh,
but I remember sitting there thinking, oh, bloody hell, that was worth waiting for. So it was just the way you put it over, you know. It's brilliant. I remember
it's one of my
one
favourites, actually. It's one of my favourites.
It shows, it really does. Brilliant.
Thank you, guys.
Again, talking about tomorrow night for the Paisley Book Festival, you know, you're in for a treat again from Carla. I won't say any more, I won't give it away anymore. And also, just to mention, Jenny.
Oh, everybody's poems are fantastic tomorrow night.
Oh, yeah, they are. And
really,
we won't go on too much about it because it really is going to be good. Jenny, Gail, who's also performing, she actually finishes off with a poem as well tomorrow at the end of the event, which will be really lovely too. So I hope you can tune in. I can actually send you the information, Jenny.
No, I know about the Paisley Book Festival. Yeah. I'm going to some items in it and just checking the one I'm going to, which I think is on the 25th. 25th. Oh, obviously not. It's something. It's called What We Leave Behind. I'm sure that's one.
Oh, so then, yeah, our event is actually on the launch night tomorrow night, the 18th, and it's at 9:30.
Oh, so, right. Well, I'll look out for it.
Yeah. So that will be. You will find the information, of course. It's in
my Facebook.
Yeah.
Yes, I've seen some. I've seen the information about it, and I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, thank you, thank you. We're all we can't wait. We're all excited and. Let us know what you think, folks. It's really because we've put our heart and soul into this, and anyway, we'll see you tomorrow night. Blair, do you have a wee poem or prose you want to share with us?
Just a very brief, extremely brief poem about your William McGonagall. On this hill there was a ducat. It's not there because somebody took it. That's it.
Short and sweet.
I remember, oh God. Sorry, I laugh at that each time. I remember you told me that in Helensburgh. We were walking along and all of a sudden he came out with that. Sorry, it was funny. That's great. Thank you, Blair. That was wonderful. Okay, B, do you have a poem or a prose you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, I've got another one if you like.
Please, yeah, thank you.
And actually it's called Conditional Healing. So hopefully it's on the healing theme a wee bit. My daughter was taken ill last year during the first lockdown to do with anxiety, severe anxiety, and being so cut off from everybody and everything. And I couldn't go and visit her in hospital. So I wrote this poem for Natalie, and it's called Conditional Healing. For your tears, I would have brought you wild roses from the shore. To quell the panic, a bottle full of the coolest sea breeze. For the headaches, I would have taken fresh ribbons of kelp and laid them across your brow. To extinguish all the flashing lights, I would have draped the room in blackest night. When the sickening roundabout turned, I would have jammed my foot under to make it stop, gathered you up in my arms, and sung you to sleep, my child. Yet the curfew kept me from getting to you. But when I make it through, to heal your spirit, I will bring you a pocket full of sea glass.
Ooh.
Oh,
Yes.
again, very visual. Thank you, Bea. Thank you.
Thank
so much.
you.
Yeah, and it's, you know, when something happens in your family, it's harrowing, and thank God, thank goodness for poetry that we can, you know, we can let our feelings out on paper, and then once everything's okay, you know, we can read it out again, and you know,
Yeah,
that was beautiful, beautiful.
thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, it was a bit traumatic at the time. She's living with me now, so.
Oh, is she okay?
Yeah.
All right, I didn't.
She's grown up. She's a grown up woman. She's not a small child. Just thought I'd better say that. But she's living with me now, which is great for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, my daughters, well, they live in Dunbar, and it's, you know, we miss them so much. We don't know when this is going to end. We hope to hear, hopefully, from Nicola, if you're, you know, Nicola, soon, when it's going to, you know, we can see our loved ones, because it's agony, you know. I'm going to read a wee poem. It's called Surreal World, because my mum, you know, she's like so many others, I guess. She's actually now, she had to go into a care home. She had to go in January. It was very harrowing, you know, because my mum's a very, you know, feisty, independent woman, you know, and so we have to hold on to the memories. And often I used to go to Ibiza with my mum, but she's still here though. You know, she's safe. You know, that's the main thing, and she's, you know, got a lot of years ahead of her, and so that's what I cling on to, you know. And this is called Surreal World, and then we're going to leave the last the best till last. Well, Ian will read the last poem, so that's, I'm leaving you till last, Ian, because you. So I'll just so you'll be ready with your poem or prose after myself, if that's okay. Okay, so here we go. It's called Surreal World. I have walked along dusty roads, seen an October bright sunset. Between my toes, felt the softness of the sand. The ferry bobbing up and down skillfully takes us across the bay. While we arrive at our destination and sipping a latte coffee, gratefully watch the fountains dancing, and it all seems so very decent. If only this world was perfect and there was no mental illness, nor debilitating headaches, or adjustments to be made. But you know, wrong. Adjustments can be made. Living in the world of your friends and loved ones, unreal worlds, they mean seen for us. But people need never feel all alone at all in company. And if there is surreal, then tell me, what is this thing called normal? Thank you.
It's wonderful.
It was dedicated to my mum, and thank goodness we went on a few holidays to Ibiza, you know.
That's lovely, Rose.
Thank you so much. Ian, can't wait to hear. Please, if you've got please.
Can I try and squeeze in two? They're not particularly long, so hopefully that's okay. It's just that, where are you there? Yeah. When Carla was reading Passion, it just made me remember something. And I went sort of looking for it. Hopefully you didn't notice I was furtively looking, but I was, to see if I could find it, because I never remember them. That's my problem. I think you know that by now. So there's two. So here's the first one. Go on. Flex those fingers. You know I love your gentle touch. Shh. Go on. Push my buttons. You know you want to. You know how to turn me on. I love seeing that blur of flashing fingers, touching me, teasing me, making me wonder what wild ideas are rampaging in your mind. Shh, I'm not listening. Go on, big boy. Maybe you'd like to insert something. I'm always willing to receive what you've got. Right, that's it. You're going into the bedroom. Yes, yes, yes. No, you're on your own. Bloody laptop. So that's, thank you, Carla, you brought that back in my mind. So maybe I should apologise for that, sorry. And this one, I shared this when you were doing these weekly sessions, Rose. Oh God, even that feels like about 20 years ago now, doesn't it? Like a day feels like a year now, you know, it's all this weird time thing, eh? But anyway, here it is. Despite all the trials and tribulations and all the difficulties that we all experience, you know, not seeing people in the flesh anyway, family, friends, even work colleagues, it's very easy to see all the things and understand all the things that we've lost, but sometimes it's harder to remember what we've still got, or even some of the things that we've gained because of this, if that kind of makes sense. So this lockdown is a boom town. When I first heard we were going into lockdown, my mouth matched the nation's mood, turning down into a frown. I worried how I'd feel about no more nights out. Would I suffer cabin fever, stress and scream and shout? I thought I'd miss all the people that bring joy into my life, left only with work and pressure, anxiety and strife. It would mean no more wrestling like we do when we're writing. Rather, lethargy and indecision are the opponents I'd be fighting. There'd be little or no structure to each and every day, even though I keep on working and thankfully get a pay. But what I hadn't thought about is how resourceful we can be, gathering ourselves together via tablet, phone, PC, sharing, caring, with and about each other, a beautiful creative community with writing, rapping, spoken word, theatre, burlesque too, arts and crafts, beatboxing, oh, so much to choose. So whatever takes your fancy, keeps you safe from lockdown blues, however long this lasts for, whatever you can or cannot do. Don't fret, don't frown. Open your eyes, look around. This lockdown is a boom town.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, it's hope, isn't it?
It's what we have. It's the one thing that we have, and it's the one thing that we've always had and still have all the way through this. But it's the easiest thing to lose sight of. And I speak for myself. You know, it's the easiest and the first thing we lose sight of. But this is the evidence again tonight. As we were saying at the start, you're getting me emotional now, but as we were saying at the start of this, Rose, this is the evidence. This is the further evidence. This is part of the ongoing evidence. There's always hope. As long as people have each other, care about each other, have interest in and for each other, there is always hope, and there's always a way through, and there will be a way out. And that's it. That's as simple as it is. And as you know, Andrew was speaking about, you know, the whole backstory of the World Community Arts Day and the sort of Craigmillar story, and you know, Leslie and your women with fierce words and everything else you do, quite frankly, you know, and Carla, where you express yourself and the events, everything. And forgive me, you know, Jenny and Bega, just the things that I know about that come more easily to mind, obviously, you know, but we're all doing our thing, you know, every one of us, you know, and it's just doing our thing. Sometimes I think, especially nowadays, COVID days, I think it can be almost selfishly motivated. Let me try and explain that. Over the years, you've probably heard this as well, Rose, Carla, maybe Leslie, maybe you've all heard this. A number of people over the years that have said to me, quite pointedly in some cases, but why do you do this? I mean, they're talking about the events and the festivals and stuff. Well, why do you do this? I don't get paid, by the way. I don't make money. It's not a business. Never has been. Never ever, you know. Why do you do this? And my answer is always really simple. I'm amazed that they can't see. I'm amazed that they can't see and feel and understand how much you get from being around and being with and among such amazing creative people. There's no amount of money can buy that. So, you know, F off with your £1 million or whatever the hell it is if you're lucky enough. That doesn't touch the sides, you know. So yeah, it's we're living it, we're doing it, and all of us and everyone else that's doing likewise. We have the hope. We're the hope for ourselves and we're the hope for each other. And there's strength when you know there are other people around you, even if it has to be via a laptop or a phone or whatever. There's strength in knowing that other people are fighting, figuratively, fighting that same fight with you. So thank you to all of you. There you go. I'll shut up.
I think thank you so much. I think you've actually just summed up, you know, what Andrew was talking about earlier as well, about connecting, caring, sharing. You know, you've summed it all up, and I'd like, you know, to thank you all for coming tonight. But before we go, if anybody has another poem, that would be, again, the icing on the cake, just to finish off, please.
I've got one. I want to share it because I wrote it just yesterday. I was out with a friend or two yesterday, so I broke the rules yesterday. I met up with two friends outside. But anyway, so we went for a walk, a socially distanced walk, the three of us, and we walked to this bridge where I always go when I'm depressed or sad. And one of my friends says to me, "Oh no, you're not taking us to Melancholy Bridge, are you?" And I thought it was the funniest thing I'd ever heard. I was laughing, and a Melancholy Bridge, that's excellent. I'm going to write a poem about that. So I did. I wrote a poem, Melancholy Bridge. Melancholy Bridge soaks up the tears of the heartfelt fears of all that dwell here. The air surrounds you like a blanket surrounds the sleeping. Melancholy Bridge soothes the weeping. The desolation of this bridge, equal to the emptiness that exists, pensive and looking within on Melancholy Bridge, reflecting on your reflection, the water reflecting your depression, as you wallow in your sorrow, such a haunting bridge, all the emotions that I've visited before, stored, love hearts scored in a tree nearby. Thank you. That's my new poem. I just wrote that yesterday. So, but yeah, three of us on a walk. It's terrible right now. You have three people go for a walk, and it's, you know, you're practically breaking the law. You know, it's terrible. But it's got to be done. I'm aware it's got to be done. But I have been on lockdown for a year now, and I've hardly seen any friends. So I was really thankful that we had a social distanced walk yesterday.
Absolutely. I mean, and there comes a beautiful poem from it as well.
I know.
And, you know, the thing is, we're all very careful, you know, like social distancing. It
was a social distance walk.
Exactly. And as poets, we need to observe. We need to still go out and walk out and see the world. So that was just, thank you so much for sharing that new poem.
Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. Oh.
Anyone else got one?
Anyone else? Got one? Okay, it's Jenny, do you have
No, I'm finished.
Okay. Well, and B, do you have another one? You okay? We're all right.
Trying to find my unmute button. I was just seeing if I've got another one. Let me just see.
It's a good meeting tonight. It's a good event, Rose.
Oh, it's just phenomenal. Like, oh, honestly. And if we're in a live venue next year, this will be there forever because I'm recording at the moment. So I hope the audience out there enjoyed tonight, because we don't know next year if we're going to be back in our live venues. So this is, again, you know, every time Arts Day, there's something special going on. So thank you all. So Jenny, sorry, B, you had one? Did you buy?
Yeah, I found one. I don't know how it will go down. It's maybe a wee bit obscure, but anyway, I think it's hopeful. So I'm going to read it. And it's called Keep Dancing. Look at it this way. A crystal bud vase presents 7 stems of bluebell, each one arced and heavy-ended like the branches of a handcrafted blue pita newspaper tree. Its well of water long since vanished. All that's really left is a fragrant purple bunting of shredded paper fairy skirts, swishing softly by the open window. Swelling within each skirt is a pod the size of a dried pea, though fleshy and tri-segmented, like magical little green carriages waiting to take tiny Cinderellas to the ball. Now ask yourself, is there really no hope? Thank you.
It was great.
Right.
Thank you.
I found one wee poem, because just listening to you all, that was just amazing, B. Honestly, again,
thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that. Because it's I've got one here because of listening to you and listening to about hope as well. And it's a wee bit more upbeat, just to finish off my poems today. It's called The Beat, actually, and it says, there is an existential world that pulls you up or down. And I know about connections because I've been there for the decades. But one ordinary day can just take your breath away. Now, I've been there at the Disco Northern Soul because music keeps me upbeat, consistent through and through. Listen to your own beat, sure to always keep you strong. Because dancing in my kitchen, the whole world sings along. I forgot all about that one. But listening to Carla's one about about the new one that she has, it's
Melancholy.
amazing. How you listen to other people and you think to yourself, hey, that's that I can connect to that one, But anybody else? Any more poems before we?
I'll jump in. I'm going to jump in because right, this is connecting with the world, and you'll know, well, a number of you know that I lived in Ethiopia and I've been writing a collection. So this one's called The Art of Saving Water. Between 4 and 4:30 in the afternoon, high in the mountains, twice higher than Kathmandu, a man pushes a button. Our pipes gorge, noise rising until no longer able to contain the torrent, spew out our ration through wide gashes. Our taps are not polite circles of surprise. The rainy season dissolves Ethiopia. The bath fills with blood, rust and clay settle. A stratum forms over chipped white porcelain. Like divers judging a safe depth, we skim a kettle through the clear, boil it on the old gas stove for the regulation 5 minutes before drinking Lipton tea, listening to the chime of gutters. That's it.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And I'm actually gobsmacked about tonight, and I really can't thank you enough, honestly. And it leads me to say, well, I hope the audience out there enjoy. We've actually recorded, this event. It's an annual event that happens, as Andrew Cummings described earlier on, once a year. But again, we're going to remind you about the Paisley Book Festival tomorrow, 9:30, and you'll see the Woman with Fierce Words. And here you heard it. We're actually joining the Craigmillar Festival in August. So there we go. We couldn't have a bigger connection.
That's brilliant.
And honestly, phenomenal.
Yeah.
This is what happens. And Ian describing that earlier on. And Ian, we're going to join your events soon as well. I've booked in for March, I think, one of your events as well in March.
Silent. Sorry, I was silent. Yeah, one weekend in Falkirk, entirely online, obviously. So it's a mixture of Facebook Live and Zoom events. It's Thursday, the 4th of March, to Sunday, the 7th of March. Leslie, you're doing a creative writing workshop. Yep. There's a spoken word event. It's only an hour. It's a short one. So if you want a slot, give us a shout quick, because it is only an hour. There's lots of live music. There's a songwriting workshop, but it's a fun one. It's Pauline Valence who plays the harp. So it'll be fun, it'll be light, ideal for poets to chuck in words, phrases, ideas, and hopefully by the end of that we'll have created a song. What else is there? There's a couple of art workshops courtesy of Gossip Collective, who are based in Stirling, and I can't remember, but there's lots of stuff. I think we've managed to put 16 events together. As I say, there's a lot of live music, and spoken word and creative writing and art and some else. Oh, and my one, if anybody, see, I never remember anything. Was anybody present here at the Peculiar Burn Supper that we did in January there, online? No. Oh, well, you missed yourselves. Where were you all? Our very peculiar Burn Supper, I think that was the 7th one, was in January on Zoom. And being a Burn Supper, naturally we had a sort of version of Name That Tune featuring a kazoo, as you do, obviously, because it's Burns after all. So taking the inspiration from that, because it's so wrong, it just shouldn't exist in the world, but because it went so well, possibly because I was slightly drunk when we were doing it, I don't know, that could have been a factor. But I think the closing event for this year's One Weekend in Falkirk is my Quizzy Kazoo Oki. So it's a whole hour or thereabout of me trying to play tunes on the kazoo, which I cannot play, and people like yourself trying to guess the tune to get a point. So there you go. What is the point? I've no idea, but it's fun.
Well, that's what I hope that you've enjoyed today, and that's what we're all about. We're all about connecting. On a Thursday, Carla has a fantastic show.
Express Yourself on the radio every Thursday night on Sunny Govan Radio at 7 p.m. So everybody's welcome to join. If you want to send poetry in, the email address is expressyourselfprojects@outlook.com. Just remember to introduce yourself.
Yeah. So this is it. We've got fantastic. We're very lucky, we've got fantastic events coming up, and so thank you so much for joining us tonight. And we'll see you next year at the World Community Arts Day 2022. But tonight, good night and thank you.
Thank you, Rose.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. See you all tomorrow night, ladies.
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow. Bye-bye.
See you later.